Everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scraplot and to episode 233 of my Show Me How It's Done series. I am very delighted to share with you a project that we made at my spring all-day retreat at the end of June. This is an entire day of crafting where I love to spoil my attendees with projects from two different suites. So for half of the day, we decided to play with the Notes and Totes Bundle, and the other half of the day, we played with florals and blooms. All of my attendees got to choose either the Notes and Totes stamp set or the Pretty Floral stamp set to receive in their registration packets, and they were also gifted some embellishments and other treats along the way. So, if you stick around to the end of the video, I will show you the other three projects that we made using the Notes and Totes bundle. But of course, the best way to see those is to sign up for some of my events. So if you are in Canada and want to join me, message me and I'll send you my catalog and my calendar, and you can get on my list of to-go kits. If you're interested by the end of this, I do still actually have 2 kits left from the all-day retreat because I like to prep a couple extras, and you're welcome to purchase those and just watch the tutorials for all the videos on how to finish the projects. Without further ado, let me show you the 3D project that we are using the Notes and Totes bundle for. I got the idea for this box, and I have to refocus this for a second, from a fellow demonstrator named Lee Denton. She made a smaller version of this tall box, and I was so taken by the beautiful size of the box that I wanted to recreate it using the theme, the ocean theme, of the Country Woods Designer Series paper and the Notes and Totes bundle. So I've done a little bit of modifying because I wanted it to fit this great sea and sand soap. See, the camera hates things when they're different dimensions. So I bought these for each of my attendees to fit the theme of our day, and then I needed to make a box to gift them in. So I'm going to show you how to make that same box. If you have a Bath and Body Works somewhere close by, these bottles will fit perfectly into this box, or of course maybe you have something else in mind along the way. So I have to keep this box kind of out of our way, and I do also need the workspace. So we're going to go step by step together if you'd like to follow along. If you don't own the Notes and Totes bundle, that is no problem. You can use a different designer series paper of your choice for the box, and then of course decorate it however you wish. So these are just ideas. They're my ideas that I'm sharing with you, but you can modify it however you need. So we're going to start by building the box base. Now we need a piece of, I think it's called willow white. It's not basic white 12 by 12. So we need to cut this at 10 1/4 by 12 inches. And I'm going to leave my little sticky up for a minute, but all the measurements are in the description. So if you want, just pause the video, go cut all your pieces, and then you're ready to craft with us as we go too. So first step is on the 10 1/4 side. So make sure it's 10 1/4. We're going to do 2 score marks, 1/2 inch and 8 inches. Okay, so I have my nice little tool, 1/2 inch and 8 inches. And you guys might be wondering why my paper is so shiny. And that is because I ran out of willow white, and I would have had to open a brand new pack to do this video, but I also want to have a template to keep for myself. So I have a sample of the willow white cardstock ready to go, ready to cut on, but I'm going to build a template using the back of the Country Woods designer paper, sleeve that Stampin Up gives us. So now I'll have this forever. Okay, so those were our 2 score marks, 1/2 inch and 8 inches. Now we're going to turn, and I will turn my sticky note once more for you. I'm going to score right through that though. 2 5/8, 5 3/4. Gotta move you for a second. 5 3/4, 8 5/8, and 11 1/2. So we'll just go over those one more time. 2 7/8. Read my note, not my words. 5 3/4, 8 5/8, and 11 1/2. Right there. That should give you your box base. Now you will need to keep this score tool handy because we need to make a lid, but it's a little easier for us to do just the box base to start, and then we'll go from there and add other details, okay? So I'm going to switch over now because I want to be able to show you kind of what we're gonna start doing here. So I've started cutting on little sections just to cue you, but the first step that I want you to do is I want you to take your bone folder and we're going to score on all of the lines. So score everything, all of those sections. There's that little one on the edge. Make sure that's scored too, and you won't have any of these cut marks, so ignore them for the second while we're working, but they will make sense in a minute. Fold this bottom panel in, fold it across, fold these in, score them across. Basically every single line that you have, I want scored. I want it all scored. Okay, now here's where these cut lines are gonna just be your friend to start helping you see what we're doing. We need to make panels for our box, so that's going to be these 4 pieces. We need to close our box, so that's going to be this side piece, but all of these panels on the top and the fat ones on the bottom, they're used to close the box together or to finish it. Okay, so the bottom is what we're going to start with. I'd like you to lay this out on your table. So on your left hand side you have the skinny strip, and then you have 4 sections that are larger, and they're all the same size. Okay, so you can see I've started making little V's to show you how we're going to angle cut and make the base of this card. Okay, so starting on the right hand side, I'm just going to angle diagonally in no beautiful order. It doesn't matter if these are perfectly straight, but we're just going to make like a V cut from the bottom of the panel to a point where our score line meets or touches. So we need to do those on all 4 of these large sections, which means here in the middle we're kind of cutting out a whole triangle. Keep going along. I'll try to go slowly, but please do feel free to pause the video when we get to the end of this section so you can just confirm you've done it right. Or like I did, use a scrap piece of paper first and just make yourself a template so that you have it for later. When you get to these edge pieces, of course, we do have to cut to that corner section. And I actually had one other cut in there, so I'm going to pretend that's still connected for a minute. Okay, I've cut up on all 4 of these sections and made little V's so that when I close my box together, those will not bump into each other because the corners tend to do that. Okay, now we're going to turn this sideways so that that thin panel that was previously on the left hand side, it's now facing you. It's facing towards your stomach. And here's where I had done that one cut that I shouldn't have done to jump ahead, but this whole rectangle here in the bottom, we're getting rid of it. Nobody needs it. So it is going to be angle cut off when I cut this skinny little section right to the corner here. And then what I have left is, whoops, the angle cut from the base right here, the angled cut from the first part of the folded flap, and that entire open rectangle. We don't need that at all. We can get rid of this. Put it to the side, and then we're going to do another cut here too because we want this to close and tuck in nicely. So this long section, we're going to angle cut into there as well, and this piece isn't as large. It's not a rectangle, it's a little square that you will end up cutting completely out of your picture as well, because we're going to turn around and do the same thing that we did on the bottom to the top. But these are stubby little rectangles, so it makes it look like a different kind of job, okay? So I've angle cut on the side here, and now when I look down at my workspace, I should have that thin little tall section on the right-hand side of my workspace, and then small little rectangle sections along the space closest to myself, okay? We're going to do the same thing and just gently angle cut in each of the sections. So that edge piece is always the weirdest one. And then little V's. Oops, hold on, I know it started it. There we go. Little V's. 1, little V2. Get rid of that. Big V, little triangle, either way, all the way across. We want all of these sections the exact same. And then third section completely out. And the last one, we still want an angle cut on this end. We don't want a blunt end, because then it won't fold up nicely. Okay, this is our box at the moment. And I apologize, I can't get the camera zoomed out any more than it is. Okay, pause at this moment if you're not caught up, because this will be what you want to stare at and just confirm everything's right. I'm going to turn this backwards once again, so the bottom of the box, these nice thick panels, are facing me. And then we're going to count here. So skinny section, 1, 2, and we're gonna fold over. Oh, sorry, hold on, just do 1. It doesn't matter at this point. Okay, fold over. So we've got our skinny section and then 2 panels kind of hanging out. We're going to put adhesive onto the back of that skinny section, and I'll do it, but then I'll pause so that you can see why. I'm not taking my backing off yet. I've put the entire skinny strip down here. And then what I'm going to do is, while it's flat on the table, I'm going to fold this right-hand panel on top of that skinny strip. I could simply try to line this up in mid-air and make a box, and it may or may not work. But the easiest way to make sure your box is squared off is to fold panel left, down 1, have this little skinny guy hanging out, and then the panel on the right, we're going to match it up and complete our box. So that way, if you cut anything at an angle or it's crooked in any way, this should square it off, okay? There we go. Then if you want to imagine it for a second, pop it up. There's the bottom of your box. There's the top of your box. And we are ready to start decorating and then assembling. Okay, it's going to be a lot easier if you do your decoration pieces now, and then we'll build the rest of the box. So back to our trimmer, we need to grab 4 pieces of Pool Party. These are going to be the 4 panels going all the way around the box. They each measure 2 5/8 by 7 1/4. Then you're going to grab yourself some designer paper. You could do 4 pieces all the same. You could do 4 different ones. I chose to do 2 and 2, and these are all from the Country Woods Designer Series paper package, which carried over from last year's annual catalog. So this is a beautiful kind of ocean themed set, and it really pairs well with the Notes and Totes, which doesn't have any paper that's sold with it. So we're going to cut 4 of them in whatever assortment you want. So I did 2 and 2, 2 3/8 by 7. And then we get to start layering. So you can move your box space for a minute. It would probably make this go a lot quicker. And you can see these are, the blue is the back side of the stripes. So I just used the same pattern of paper, but alternated the designs. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, So I'm using tape. If glue is quick, if seal is quick, whatever you want. You grab whatever works for you and get these mounted with a flat adhesive onto their pool party counterparts. Okay. There should be a pool party border all the way around the edge. And yeah, like I said, you can use really any paper you have on hand. I was able to get all 4 of these panels out of one sheet of designer paper, so pick your favorite. Oh, that's a little crooked. Oh, hopefully nobody will notice. Pardon me. There we go. Now, on the back of these pieces, we are putting a flat adhesive once again. I know you might be tempted to pop them up on dimensionals because it would bring a little bit more life to your box, but then your lid won't fit and you will be sad. So put these on flat. You can give life to the box simply by building it in a 3D format, and we'll also add some ribbon and a little tag to give it a little life as well. Okay. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Now, if your paper is directional, like you've got maybe some flowers or something that needs to go up and down properly, please make sure that you're putting the bottom of the box down in the base and facing the top, just so that your flowers go up the box. Otherwise, again, you'll be sad and probably a little disappointed with an upside down box. But let's start assembling. I'm just doing 2 panels while it's lying down here. And then I'll turn my box around and keep going. Oops, I picked the other stripes. I want the blue. So I'm alternating blue and stripe. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So what I do is, instead of turning the entire box over, I'm just going to move over 1 panel. This is going to confirm that whatever I have here, I need to put now the other pattern. If I was to show just the other 2 sides, I might make a mistake and accidentally mix things up. So just go one at a time, take your time, it's okay. We have time. 1 more, this will be your last one. Confirming that fits. There we go. Okay, now we get to do a little bit of detail on your box. It doesn't matter whether you start with the top or the bottom, but I'm going to suggest it might be easier just to build the bottom of your box first. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fluff this up for a second, and you're going to look for the section that you joined the 2 pieces together. So do you see this one? This is where I joined those 2. So I want to kind of make that the back of my box. So I'm going to make that first panel right here one of the 2 panels. Okay, so we'll fold it down together just to make sure this all fits nicely. And refocus you. Okay, so here's where you get to add just a little bit of adhesive. You could use some glue, you can use some tape, but you just need a little adhesive 1 by 1 as you lay the pieces down. Okay, so open these up because you don't need them in your way. This was the one we were going to put down first. Put just a little bit of tape on there, and I'm going to attach its match. Okay, so make sure it's resting nice on the table and press those 2 together. You can turn your box over right now and just reach a hand in, or if you've done a skinnier box, your hand doesn't want to go in, grab a ruler and just tap against the base of the table. All you need to do is make sure those 2 have kind of attached to each other. Then we're going to put a little adhesive on the next flap that's going down. I just put it up near the top of the flap. And it's going to rest. Sorry, it's going to rest right there. And the last flap. So just go one at a time on these flaps, layering them one after another, and just gently press it. Then turn it over, stick a ruler or your hand down and push it against the base of the table. Now, one thing that I thought was really brilliant that Lee did was, instead of having a flat top, she had these pieces cut, and they are intended to bring a little bit of a nice finish to the top of the box, okay? So if you kind of stand them up and fan them out like a flower, we're going to put a little bit of adhesive, or glue might actually be a lot quicker for this step, onto those 4 panels. And this is completely a finishing touch. It's probably not something you've usually done, but I actually really appreciated her idea to cut that extra 1/2 inch, and it does finish the box off really nicely for you, because these are all angled in. Doesn't matter which one you start with because they're not overlapping one another. We're just going to take the adhesive off all 4 of those sections, and I know you're being blinded by white, beautiful light. That's what happens with pretty paper. It just plays with the camera. Okay, then one after another, I just went in a circle, counterclockwise or clockwise, it doesn't matter. But look how nicely it finishes the box off for you. I appreciate it. Okay, you're going to want to put your soap in now, or whatever you're putting in, and then set this to the side because we have a lid to build. Our base is done. Our box is done. Let's go with the lid. Okay. The lid, here we go. We have a lot of cutting to do. I don't know, maybe we should do all of the cutting first, and then I'll walk you through the scoring. Okay, so we're using, let me just separate this all. Okay, we need, for our white piece, it's going to be 6 by 6. And just pause for a minute. Let's just cut all of our other pieces. We'll score this one together and do all the cutting in a second. But 6 by 6 for a white. Then we need a center for that box. So we've got our pool party. Oh, you are very bright here. There we go. Pool party is going to be 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And the center for that, with a different piece of designer paper from the set, is 2.5 by 2.5. Those will get layered together, and in fact, let's do that so that they don't run away on us. Because when we get to these little strips, we're going to want to attach them right away. It'll just make your life so much nicer not to worry about them escaping. Okay, so these 2 pieces here, they're going to be the center fold of your box. There we go. Put that to the side. Next, you need to cut these little pieces here. These are all the side pieces. 2, 3, 4. So I just want opposite colors of whatever the panel was. So I used that same piece of designer paper and all the scraps from it. So 4 of the pool party strips, they're going to be 3/4 inch by 2 3/4. 4 of them. And then we need 4 of these little panel pieces that are about 1/2 inch by 2.5. And these pieces, like I said, they're all scraps. They're all cut-offs after I did the main panels, and they kind of fill in the rest of the box. So let's not lose any of those pieces. Let's attach them all to their base, and then we'll do some scoring and cutting on our other piece here. 2, 3, and 4. Here we go. Oh, you might need a little bit more. It's okay. All right. Centering things in front of me. That's fun. Not too bad. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Okay, these guys we can set to the side, but instead of 8 loose pieces, now there's only 4. Okay, let's do some scoring here. So you'll notice there are 4 score lines. We need to do them twice. So the first score line, we're going to go at 1/2 inch all the way down, 1.5 all the way down, 4.5 all the way down, and 5.5 all the way down. Then you turn your paper and you do this all over again. So it didn't matter which way you went first. We're going to go 1/2 inch, 1.5, 4.5, and 5.5. And just like we did earlier, we're going to grab our bone folders and do all that scoring. Now you get to watch me do that. Fold every single line all the way around. You're just folding everything in because that box wants to go in. And 4. There we go. Okie dokie. Now for some cutting. I know you're gonna love this. Okay, so I'll try to go slowly, but we're basically just going in a clockwise rotation, okay? So it didn't matter where I started, just grab one section, and we're gonna look on this right-hand side. Do you see these 2 lines? So the one line has the skinny section, and the one line has a square, and then there's this giant rectangle. So we're gonna start from the right-hand side, and we're gonna cut up through to the first score line and keep going to the second score line. Okay, so I have this weird little flap. Don't cut it off, just leave it for a minute. And then we're gonna cut up right here and pause. Okay, so you have 2 loose flaps like that. Now you're going to turn, and those 2 flaps are sticking out the left-hand side. We're going to do the same thing to this section. Working in this bottom right, we're cutting up through 2 lines, stopping at that second score mark. Rotate again. We're going to keep doing this till all 4 of these panels look like this. 3. Okay. 1 and 2, check. Rotate one more. 1 and 2. Check. Okay, now here's where we get to have a little bit of cutting fun, but it also might be a little challenging. Okay, so we'll do this together. Let me pull up one so you can kind of see. Here's my template. This is what we're going to make. Okay, so if you're more of a visual person and you want to kind of take a screenshot of this and try your hand, go for it. But I'm going to walk you through how to get this step by step. But just remember, we're going to do the same thing on all 4 sides. So hold tight. Okay, so with this panel kind of facing where we stopped, we're going to look for this small little rectangle section here and do an angle cut just in that little rectangle. So we did an angle cut here on the right, and we're also going to do an angle cut now towards the left. But you'll notice that we cut all the way up this line. Our cut line's here. So as soon as I close these scissors, this little panel is going to fall off, and that is okay. Totally fine. Okay? So we've angle cut that rectangle. We're going to do that all the way around just because it'll be easier to work with things out of our way. So angle cut on the left and angle cut on the right of these small rectangular panels. Rotate left and right. And one last one. Angle cut left and angle cut to the right. Okay, still not quite what we need, and that is fine. We have another job to do. These little so if we look at this flap, this loose flap here, this little rectangle and the big square, you need to next cut this little rectangle all the way off. So cut all along that store line and throw it away. Turn, do it again. The little rectangle gets kiboshed. He gets just thrown out. Turn, do it again. Little rectangle kiboshed. And last but not least, kiboshed. Now, we like those angle cuts. We like being able to fold our flaps over and have them not bump into each other. So that's exactly what we're going to do now to this remaining square. So on the right-hand side, we're going to just do tiny little triangle cuts out of that square. And that makes a nice little panel for us to tuck under to make our lid. Okay? Rotating through. 1 and 2. Keep going. We want 3 and 4, the exact same. 3 and 4. Just like we did with the box base now, we're going to start decorating before we fold this up, because once again, it is far easier to do while this is in a flat state. Okay, so start with our 4 little panels. Does not matter at all which one you start with, because they're all going on. Just make sure you alternate them around the perimeter. 3 and 4. So these fit only in one spot. There we go. And I'm just going to rotate my workspace so I don't have to lean over further. 3. Oh, I've even picked them up in a good order. Good for me. And 4. There we are. Okay, now when you get to the centerpiece, you can use dimensionals on this one because it doesn't matter if it's popped up a tiny bit. But of course, my dimensionals have decided to take a hike somewhere. So I had everything ready. Oh, there you are. Here we go. Pop this guy up on dimensionals. He's ready to go. Three, 4, and one last one. There we go. One more for good measure. 5. Here we are. Okay, that goes in the center. Now we need to use a little bit of adhesive. Okay, so I'm going to use double-sided tape because it's actually easier. I can put it all on at the same time, and then I can take off the backings when I'm ready. So I'm going to cut myself 4 little pieces that will go on each of these 4 panels. And you know exactly that you're doing this the right way because you have all of the designer paper in front of you. Okay, so we can see all 4 of those stickers at the moment. Don't take the adhesives off because we have to do a flip. Turn this over. On our little rectangle sections now, you also need a piece of adhesive. This is going to give you that fine detail like we did on the box finish for the lid. So do this, hold around, one more. There we go. Okay. So I decided it was easier for me to turn this back over and work on the 4 little tabs first. So I'm going to take my adhesive off all 4 of the little tabs. And then we are gently going to start building our box. So we're going to take 1 tab, tuck it under the designer series piece next to it, and you'll start pressing and pinching those corners together. Okay, let's see if I can refocus you. There we go. Next one, bend and tuck. You're just building this box nice and secure, kind of lining the edges up with one another. This last one, you kind of have to tuck him under. There we go. Now we have these funky little panels hanging out again. That is okay. We're going to come along with our take your pick tool, pull off that tape all the way around. 2, 3, and 4. And then again, just in a clockwise direction or counterclockwise, doesn't matter. One at a time, tucking them around. It will give you a very, very nice finish on your box. There's your lid. Isn't it so cute? It's so fun. Okay, moment of truth, and then try to alternate. So I've got a striped thing here and a blue one here. And she fits. Look, she fits. We're doing good. All right, next step. We need some ribbon. So I grabbed Pool Party ribbon from my collection. This was on the last chance selection, but I don't think it's there anymore, so please forgive me. So you can just grab your ribbon and tie that around the top. I think this is, I would suggest just leaving it on the roll and kind of tying from there, but I want to say it's about, well, let me grab my ruler. I'll tell you. Okay, there's 12, 24. It's about 36 inches long is what I grabbed. And I went up the sides with the blue. It's up to you what you do, but we're just going to tie ourselves one little knot because you need to make a tag. Tags are fun. Look. News flash, you're fabulous. Okay, so I went to the Notes and Totes and I grabbed myself this, I don't know what to do here. Okay, I grabbed myself this little guy and cut it out of the white wood grain piece. And then I grabbed myself this little bottle and I cut that out of Misty Moonlight. This little lotion tube out of Pool Party. I grabbed crumb cake and did a starfish, and petal pink and did a little seashell right there. There's so many other pieces you could play with as well. And I did newsflash, you're fabulous. So to decorate this, we've got our, need to move this. Come back to me. There we go. We've got our Misty Moonlight ink and our sentiment at the top. Newsflash, you're fabulous. You could write a little note on this if you wanted, but I'm filling it in with stuff. And before I do, I thought it was cute to add some little details to these 2 pieces. So I used Pool Party on my my sample, but I actually am just going to use Versamark because it's very easy then to stamp on both of these at the same time. Just line them up. Versamark. And if you're up close, you'll see just a slight flower pattern on both. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So I popped this guy up on dimensionals. 1 and 2. he went in the bottom left. Then I just put this guy on flat, so some tape, seal. A glue dot would be ideal for your little sea star. This guy should be able to just tuck kind of in the back here. You'll cover some of it up with the shell, and that's okay. The shell also gets dimensionalized. And then the little sea star, I'm out of glue dots at my desk, so I'm just going to do a dot of glue right there. And tuck him on top. Now, you can grab a hole punch if you have one handy, or we have this really adorable trio of tag punches. So I have 2 of them on my desk here out of the 3, but they come all together. They're this trio of tag topper punches, and it just gives me a little hole in the top corner that I can feed my ribbon through. So I got to bring this back and just feed that through the edge. I'll have to retie everything, and I'm sorry you can't see this for a second. Just give me a minute. It's a teeny hole, so if you've got a thick ribbon, use one of the other ones, one of the other hole punches, because you'll want a thicker hole then. Okay. So one fun little cheat that I sometimes do if I have a long box like this, I'm going to take my ribbon down for a second, is I actually take some tape and I feed it up the side of the box on both sides. So then my ribbon is actually attached to the box and it doesn't come all the way down. When somebody undoes the box, it'll be a lot easier for them to reassemble this. So let's try that. Let's see how that works here. I've taken the adhesive off both the sides. Refocus you on the box. I've settled you in the middle, and then I'm just going to kind of push my ribbon onto the side of the box. So it's attached. Now it's not going to come all the way down. We're going to do that on the other side here too. Just be mindful of your tag, because that will take up a little bit of space. There we go. And now you're ready to do a little bow. You. I'm going to redo that one. There we go. One. Now I'll put you on. That's better. A little bow. There you go. And then when you're happy, of course, if you've got some nice ribbon scissors, these are probably not the best, but you can come along and just cut a little angle, fix whatever ribbon end you've wrecked while trying to feed it on. And there's your present. So I know it's been fun to view this through the camera lens, but it's ready to go, and hopefully whoever receives this is just delighted by the treat that you've given them. Now don't go. I promised you a peek of what 3 other cards or projects we did with that suite. So here was a coordinating card that we did to match the box. We made a little tote, and you can stick a gift card in the back here as well, but I just, for now, did a little tea bag in there. There's my little tote. And then I cased the catalog and just redesigned a card using a little bit different paper and color scheme and some sandpaper actually for the sand. So this is a picture of one of the samples from the catalog, and I just redesigned it. So just a reminder, if you want all 4 of these projects as well as the other goodies pre-prepped, I have a couple kits left. You can message me for info on that kit, or perhaps you can sign up for a future class. I do specialty classes every month, and I would love to mail you out a kit. I will see you guys next week for another edition of Show Me How It's Done, but make sure you're liked and subscribed to the channel because I am posting videos also on Thursdays right now to celebrate the Great North American Stamping Competition with some of my fellow demonstrators. We look forward to crafting with you guys very soon. Talk to you later. Bye.